Hello everyone, welcome to Learn ReactJS for Frontend Development by CodeChef. So far, you've learned about how you can make user interfaces using React components. But to truly make your user interface useful, users should be able to interact with it, whether it's clicking on buttons, typing into inputs, or submitting forms. React handles these user interactions in the form of events. Events allow your application to listen to user interactions and update your UI in a more clean and efficient way. So in this lesson, we'll be looking at how we can handle events in React, how it differs from plain JavaScript, and how we can attach event handlers in JSX. So let's begin.
Event handling is what makes a React application interactive, allowing it to respond to user actions like clicks and typing. Modern applications are driven by user interaction. Every click, key press, or form submission is an event that tells the application to do something. React uses events to listen to these actions and update the UI instantly. In plain JavaScript, events are handled using add-event-listener. This requires manual DOM selection and cleanup. While this works, it becomes harder to manage as the applications grow. React simplifies this by letting us attach event handlers directly in JSX. Instead of selecting elements, we use props like onClick and onChange. React manages event listeners automatically. First, React event names use camel case like onClick, where the first letter of the first word is lowercase and the first letter of the second word is uppercase. Second, always pass a function, not a function call. This ensures the function runs only when the event occurs. A common mistake is calling the function directly inside JSX. This causes the function to run during render instead of on user interaction. To fix this, pass the function reference instead. When a function needs arguments, we wrap a call inside an arrow function. This allows React to execute the function with the correct values only when the event happens. So let's walk through this code step by step and understand how event handlers work in React, especially when we need to pass arguments. We start with a functional React component called app. Inside this component, we are simulating a simple score tracker. Instead of updating actual state, each function logs a message to the console so you can clearly see when and how it gets called. This makes it easier to focus purely on event handling logic. So first we have the addPoints function. This function expects a parameter called points. Whenever it runs, it logs how many points were added. Similarly, we have subtractPoints function. Again, this function needs an argument to know how many points to subtract. Finally, we have resetScore. This function does not need any arguments. It simply logs a reset message. Now here's the key challenge. In React, event handlers like onClick do not automatically pass arguments to your function. If we wrote something like this over here, React would call addPoints without any value, which means points would be undefined. That's why this approach does not work when arguments are required. So the solution to it is arrow functions. To pass arguments correctly, we wrap the function call inside an arrow function. Now let's look at the first button. Here's what's happening. React stores the arrow function as a click handler. Nothing runs during render. And when the button is clicked, the arrow function executes. That arrow function then calls addPoints 5. This ensures the function only runs on click and receives the correct argument. The same logic is applied to subtracting points. Again, we use an arrow function because we need to pass 3 as an argument. Without the arrow function, React would not know what value to send. Now look at the reset button. Here, we pass the function reference directly. But why? Because resetScore does not require any arguments. React can safely call it when the button is clicked. Wrapping this inside an arrow function is necessary. When you click any of these buttons, messages appear in the browser console. This helps you confirm the event handler is attached correctly, the function is running at the right time, and the correct arguments are being passed. So let's just run this code once. So let's say I click on 5 points. You can see we have printed out the message in the console. If I click on 3 points, it will reduce the points by 3. Now if I click on reset, my points will be reset to 0. Let's just submit this code once. So I passed all 3 test cases.
So that's a wrap up to introduction to events in React. To really understand how this concept works, make sure to head over to the CodeChef platform and try out the practice problems yourself. That's where the real learning happens. That was it for this lesson, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.